Hey, what's going on YouTube? And welcome to yet another Beige Carpet After Party live stream review. This is for Beige Carpet live stream number 74, the one we just finished watching on 12/17, focused mainly on the upcoming holiday stuff. So as you can see, we've got some festivity over here. It's snowing in my office. It's a lot of fun. And we're joined, of course, by some wonderful guests, one of whom is new. So I'm going to let everybody say hello. As usual, working our way down from the top. So take it away there, Barry.
What's going on, everybody? It's good to be back. If you're curious, I did, in fact, participate in the snowball fight. It'll be the only video that ever exists on any YouTube channel affiliated with me. So it'd be cool if you stop by and say hi.
Well, I am glad that you did snowball fight. I really enjoyed that you did that. We can talk a little bit about the snowball fight, maybe a little bit later. But first, we're gonna let Omega say hello. So, Omega, tell us about you and how you play in the game and interact with the community, and then we'll keep moving.
Sure. Hi, I'm Omega Weapon. I've been playing FFBE since launch. I play War of the Visions and Ever Crisis. Having a lot of fun with that Ever Crisis right now. I'm been pretty active within the community. Not as active over the past few months. I've gone a little bit more casual with it for various reasons, but I'm still enjoying it a lot. I've been on a couple videos discussing, the upcoming content on Sinzar a couple times, and looking forward to talking about this with you guys.
Now, I have a question for you. Is there a specific Omega weapon or a specific version of weapon that you specifically identify with?
Yeah, it's the one from Final Fantasy VIII. That's the icon art.
Very good.
Great decision.
Big FF8 fanboy here, not gonna lie.
Same.
But
Well done.
everybody has their, favorites.
And apparently it wasn't 15, so we'll talk about that in a little bit too. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Sinzar.
What's up, guys? Thanks again for inviting me, Gert, to discuss the live stream. And, this one was, I'd say, mid-tier from their live streams in the past. We'll get into it soon.
Yeah. Very cool. And honestly, we're gonna dive just the same way they did. They dove straight into new unit time. They did a little bit of bantering, just about their sweaters and stuff. Which, I mean, Tony's sweater is always on point. The dashing through the snow, it's fantastic. But then they dove straight into new unit, and here we are, featured new unit, Neovision, Ghost of Winter Past Barrel. What are you guys' immediate thoughts about the sprites and the description and things like that?
Initial thought is look how they murdered my boy.
True.
It's
not a big fan of.
Well, for me, it's really not the sprite. It's the kit they previewed. The numbers just across the board seem really underwhelming. He's unfortunately saddled with not one but two off-meta elements. At the very least, he's a brave shifter, which was always a concern. Maybe they won't do that; they'll go SOB for some weird reason, but they didn't. So that's a thumbs up. But man, the stuff they previewed, I'm wishing it was different.
I saw the name and I was really excited about it. Because honestly, I think the unit name is fantastic. It's a callback to Christmas Carol. It's wonderful. But to me, the sprite itself, when the snowy background of the sprite looks better than the sprite itself, I have a problem with it. Especially considering this was a unit fan design unit that looked fantastic as a 5 through 7 star. I was actually making an offhand comment to Gert before we started recording that it looked like someone just kind of penciled it on a napkin and decided to go with it.
Yeah,
They just kind of went with it. I don't get it.
Yeah, to me it just looks really squashed. And maybe that's just on this screen. I hope it is, but Barrel obviously is supposed to be tiny, but it just looks really just squished down, distorted. I don't know.
On the bottom version of them, it looks pretty much identical to the 7-star version. I was hoping they'd make it noticeably different, or noticeably holiday-ish themed.
Well, that base form definitely looks different, with reindeer
Yeah,
antlers.
yeah,
and,
that one.
Yeah, looks like it's got a white mage vibe to like the trim on the coat too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they were going for?
Maybe.
Ah.
Maybe.
Oh dear.
But notice that neither one of those forms has the magic tank tag.
See, and that's to me where they really missed here, because that was always Barrel's thing. I think it was a great opportunity to take the concept of what Barrel was in a 5 to 7 star, combine it with the really underwhelming concept that Maeve was, and potentially make a really interesting unit. And instead, what they did was this, which I have to think is just going to be a damage dealer at the end of the day, with some minor supporting capabilities.
Well, one of the supported capabilities that they do bring up right here on the screen, though, is that it has an area effect, increasing physical and magic earth damage by 50%, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the big number as far as fields go.
For now, the highest amp fields are 50. They go to 70 in like 2 months, but for now, 50 is the standard for high.
Yeah.
70?
Yep, that's Neovisions Plus era.
That's big.
Oh, God.
They also give us some additional information about some special skills. Stuffed Animal Heaven mode boosts physical and magic damage against beasts for all allies and fills the morale gauge. And Seraphic Present, 2 times per battle, boosts attack and magic, LB damage, and fills the LB gauge for 1 ally, as well as filling the morale gauge. Seem pretty basic.
These abilities are the ones that really disappoint me and lower my expectations for the unit as a whole. So we've got the killer buff. It's 160, which is fine. That's fine. A lot of units are at 160, 150 AoE, whatever. The thing is, with the global units, you come to expect better. So we've got like Melissa, who is 250 single target and then 150 AoE on demand. You've got things like Sylvie, same thing. You've got things like Ibarra, 200 AoE. And then you've got like Beryl, who is 160 AoE, which is on par with JP units. So I can't dock him that much for that. The big one that really grinds my gears is the Seraphic Present thing. Okay, so they said on the stream exactly what this is. So 350 stat buff, 250 LB buff, 20 LB fill, and a little morale fill. On a Magnus, let's compare this to the most comparable Magnus buff, which is Sylvie's I've Got Your Back. So 350 attack and magic versus Sylvie's 400 to every stat. 250 LB damage versus Sylvie's 300 LB damage. 20 LB fill versus Sylvie's maximum LB fill. And then 500 morale versus Sylvie's 1500 morale. They just took every single modifier on Sylvie's and like cut it in half or just made it so much worse. And then like, here's Beryl. Why does it have to be so much worse than a 2-year-old unit?
Yeah.
I think the obvious answer is that sadly Sylvie was a mistake and they broke the mold. Oh gosh. Even if you can do this twice, right? So if you're just thinking about the morale fill, even doing this twice, you're still not hitting as much morale as Sylvie can fill with hers. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not a great look, and it's funny that we get this unit in the same stream as we're getting Elesperus updates, because let's all recall the last time they treated a fan design, fan favorite vote unit this poorly, which caused such a community uproar that now, 4.5 months later, we're finally getting the updates for. So how loud do we have to get for this one, for whatever this is, to be better than what it is?
Yeah.
Because it's strikingly underwhelming, and I get that he's probably more of a damage dealer, so some off support's cool, I guess, but man, those killers aren't even on demand, and they're dispellable. And so if that's your only source of killer, well, if a boss dispels, like we know they love to make Clash of Wills bosses dispel every turn, if not every 2 turns. Great, now you have no killer until that comes back. So then what?
That's the thing. Yeah. So we'll have to see the full details. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're undispellable. Maybe I'm maybe I'm sniffing something really bad there. But yeah, we'll see. Also, speaking of really bad, I don't know if it's really bad, but like just disappointing. Like this leader skill again. This 500% attack and magic leader skill with 200% defense and spirit. Like at least it gets more in Clash of Wills, but like I'm tired of this leader skill.
See, on the English keyboard, right, especially in America at least, the N and the H are right on top of each other. So I think if we just replace all the H's with N's, we're good.
Oh, there it is.
That's awesome.
Nope. That's special. That's special. Well,
because that's my response to if anyone ever asks me if they should use this as the leader. No.
So much like I have, some glowing lights over my head, it looks like, Barrel's got, some purple and pink and blue and green lights behind his head too. And it's like, I wonder if that's me constantly visible on the screen or if it's going to fade in and out.
Nothing says Christmas like pink and blue.
Actually, pink and blue, like the pastels are really big this year in terms of decorations.
You're so
and lights.
right. You're right. It's driving me crazy.
It's really
what
interesting.
What it looked like on the in-game sprite is I think it's just really exaggerated on a white background. I don't think it's quite that dramatic in the in-game footage that I remember them showing. And then there's constantly that snow effect coming down behind him too.
Yeah.
So it seems to me more like an aurora as opposed to a stark pink and blue background.
What do you think, Omega? How do you feel about this leader skill?
It's very underwhelming.
I don't think there's much else to say about that.
Yeah, the thing is that we just got Roos with 600 leader skill, which is like, for me, I'm really big on standards. Once you set a standard, you don't then go backwards. So I understood in the past, like Zac and all, Squall being 600. Okay, they're premiums. They make non-premiums only 500, whatever. But the minute you give a non-premium leader like Roos a 600, that is your new standard. You should never again from that point forward go below that benchmark. And to go backwards to 500 after just doing Roos at 600 makes no sense whatsoever. It's just poor planning, and I do not understand why they would do this.
Well, that's backwards twice, though, because Elena was before all of them, and Elena was 750.
Well, hers was just in Clash of Wills, and she was like being as the Clash leader. Her out of Clash leader was 300.
Right.
And it's still pretty terrible. But in Clash, I guess she was a little bit of a unique one. And yes, they did have the Richt as well at whatever, and then Malphasy and all. But I kind of saw Elena as like an exception to the rule just because she was before her time. I think she was the first 750 on global, wasn't she? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of saw her as like a small exception.
But still, I mean, you mentioned Richt. I mean, Richt is still rocking that weird leader skill and he's a premium. Like it's still weird. So Super Trustmaster reward, Winter Angle, 242 attack, two-handed dagger, with some bonus stats for Barrel and some killers, and a lot of math jokes. Is there even a good dagger imperil unit?
Yes, Locke has 45% dagger imperil. I think one other unit has 45% as well. By memory, it's some I can't.
Is it like
Zidane? Zidane does.
Okay, Zidane.
Yeah, the new Zidane. Oh yeah, so it being a dagger is a good thing because daggers and throwers have the highest weapon imperils in the game outside of Clash of Wills. In Clash, we've got 50 katana with sparis, but still, dagger and throwings have the highest potential in dark visions.
Okay.
So this being a two-handed dagger is good, but there's a 405 two-hander from Dark Matter. So this is like, are you really going to use this?
Yeah, maybe if the killers line up.
Flat.
Well, I mean, for Barrel himself, absolutely. I'm talking about like for other units to take advantage of those weapon imperils.
God, no.
And then Fairy Light's Vengeance. Attack 50% when equipped with a short sword. Boost physical and magical against beasts and humans. And boost equipment attack by 100% when a single weapon is equipped in both hands.
That's great to me for TMR.
I mean, it's like not terrible, but when again, as for me, you always compare it to the existing things. When you're comparing it to like Irving's,
yeah,
or
Sure.
A2, etc., or now what's your boy's name? Veritas of the Frost. That when you're getting double 100 killers, going to 50/50 is like, and also you've got things like Furians, which triple 75. These are often like 5-star units.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
double 50 is like a little low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look then at this vision card.
Oh, the best part of the
best
unit.
Mariton Berry. It's a cute name, at least. 1,000 HP, 130 attack, with a bunch of bonus HP and attack, killers and LB damage, and 500 attack.
So it's kind of funny how far we've come, because when you first look at this, you're like, this is just straight up better than Knights of Grandshell's premium card, which was like the standard for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't use that anymore. We're in the 170 meta, and like at this point, even newer players should have like 1 or 2 170 cards by this point.
Yep.
Depending how new, of course, but still. Like, can you imagine putting a 130 card on a unit these days? Like, I definitely don't.
Maybe if you had like nothing else, like for some reason you're just like not getting the Earth card.
I mean, we put Moonlight Parade on units all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, that's for a different purpose, but
Yeah. That does
But
other things.
That's a 135 card, you see.
Oh, so you got me.
Yeah. The art's cool though, right? Like,
I love
Beryl
the art.
came out of the little house and drops presents in the chocobo drawn sleigh. There's a snow tonberry on the side. I think it's cute.
Yeah, the artwork is good.
If I didn't love the song that plays for Squall's vision card, I'd easily put this on my homepage, at least for the season.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song too.
So great.
Yeah.
I wish they had a Fisherman's Horizon song card though.
Fair.
That would be really cool. So, Beryl, I mean, all in all, to me, I mean, we obviously got to see the real numbers. I as excited as I was for a potential Beryl unit, I have been for a while. Like, I'm just from what we see here, kind of not super excited. I don't know how you guys feel.
See, not at all. Not even in the slightest bit of excitement, because the biggest floating, I guess, caveat to this unit, even if the damage numbers are fantastic, we're assuming that you have Ramza. And I don't know, like, if you're going to pull this unit after having just had, premium Ramza 2 weeks ago, your Lapis probably hurts some. Are your EX levels going to be high enough that you can actually run the two of them together? And that assumes that every other unit you want to use in your Clash of Wills is high enough to still potentially push for rank 1. The fact that he's an Earth element is just, it's DOA on its own, and then you take Ramza into account, and that's another separate issue. And then there's you would literally be pulling Beryl because you love Beryl, which of course at that point pull him by all means always. But you're not pulling this unit for longevity. You're pulling it because you love Beryl, and for this particular Clash of Wills, which is of course the third one in the series. And we all know that Neovisions Plus are coming. So this Beryl, with its lackluster leader skill, lackluster TMR and STMR, lackluster card, can you really justify pushing hard for this outside of because you really love the unit? I mean, obviously I'm talking more from a meta perspective than anything, but just, I don't know, I feel like Beryl deserved better in a lot of ways. They lost the fever or the feel of the original unit to me, and it's really just quite sad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for me, it just really depends on the kit. Like, the kit's gonna say it all, because every week that passes, we're that much closer to Neovisions Plus when we know a lot of this stuff is going to be Powercraft. So you really have to look at it as, will he hold his own going forward? We already know he's got like a huge strike against him by being the wrong element. At least like with Chow, can be a budget alternative, just one of like the Neo Visions plus water damage. We know that whole team is being built. Someone like even like Richt or something, we do know like a light party going forward is going to be a thing. A dark party going forward is going to be a thing. Like Earth and Ice has no future based on what we know coming down the pipe. So like I don't even know what he could possibly have that would make him so good that he's going to be worth a slot in like a month and a half.
Obviously, like a 1500x modifier in this LB, like maybe.
Clearly, he's our first 91% breaker.
Yes, the 91%. Hey, he does have the breaker tag in the shift form. So there you go.
Yes, it does.
All right. Well, this is interesting. So I actually put out 2 polls, one on Twitter and one on YouTube, and both had the exact same results, just in different amounts. I asked people what they were most excited for, the new unit, the new boss, other holiday content, information about Elis sparis, and information about Clash of Wills rewards. And without it was unanimous, like more than 50% people voted for they wish they could know more about Elis sparis buffs, which they kind of teased last week, that say, hey, stay tuned for Elis sparis buffs, and lo and behold, here we are. So I'm really excited that they did deliver on that, and especially because so many players are obviously calling for it. Here's the buffs, the information they gave. So they increased the defense reduction to 90%, increased the modifier on unquenchable bloodthirst by 150x, boosted chain damage, and LB damage when your HP drops below 75%. So Sinzar, you've been really vocal about Elis sparis since she came out. How do you feel this does?
I think these changes are absolutely amazing. They basically fixed just about every single issue I had with the unit. So her brakes were low. Well, not low, but it was nothing impressive. It was the same as everything else, but she had a lot of other handicaps at the same time. They're making her brakes now better than the standard, which is absolutely perfect. That means all of a sudden she's one of the best, if not the best breaker in Dark Visions. Her damage was low. They're nearly doubling her damage, going from 250 to 400. That's almost a double increase. Now, it's still going to be pretty low compared to your real damage dealers. But at the very least, it's now worth putting gear on her to hit the boss, whereas before it almost wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really good. She had no chain cap. That's like a 3-year out of date unit design style. Now she's got it with her STMR. She's at the maximum. That's perfect. The LB damage is like whatever, who cares? Your party's buffing that regardless, so yay. But the other stuff, really, really, really good.
Okay, so for you then, these are pretty big game changers. I'm curious what, Barry and Omega, how do you guys feel about these? Because obviously, you maybe approach this a little differently than maybe Sinzar does.
Oh, I like them a lot.
You're a fan? All right. I think you said you just got an Elis sparis.
I got my first one with the unit select ticket from whichever Lapis Replica Exchange has it.
Okay.
And then I pulled another random one off banner, trying to get more heals. So I have her DX2 now. So
cool.
So these upgrades are great. Yeah.
What about you, Barry?
I mean, mine is currently sitting at EX3, just casually waiting. Haven't used her once. These have all been off-banner pulls that she's just shown up for. I love what they've done. Let's just put that out there now. Yes, this is great. The only thing that bothers me about this really doesn't bother me about it, but why didn't they just do this in the first place? Like, why do we have to make noise for a unit to just be a standard of decent? We have 90% breakers. We've had 90% breakers for way too long. if we go all the way back to Lara Croft.
And
It's not. Go ahead.
I was going just to expand on that. Not only why didn't they do this at the start? Why didn't they do this months ago? Because they like 3 weeks after her banner was when they said we've heard the community, we understand that she's a dud. Why did it take an extra 2.5 months to do anything about it? Why not the very next day do something? I mean, okay, let's say an extra week for them to deliberate the way to fix her. You know, maybe it's a committee. I don't know the process. It didn't take 3 months to dream up these buffs. Why did this take so long to happen?
And in the meantime, we skipped Cater, and Vanille was delayed like crazy, and Avon and Galoof have all come out since then. So we've had every number of Breaker come out, or been skipped outright, and now all of a sudden, oh hey, here's those things we told you we were gonna give you. Like, I love them. They're fantastic. I think they would have made a pretty decent amount of money off of this unit if this is what it had been initially. Was this all just a business decision to try to get people to pay for the other breakers that have come out since? I don't know. But, I mean, between she and the new Veritas of the Frost, I mean, that and like Kaito's buffs, I guess, we have a good core of breakers now. I just don't understand why it took so long, or why this couldn't have just been how it was in the first place. Because otherwise, I mean, they're fantastic. She has more utility. She can actually, you know, hit something stronger than a wet napkin across the face. It's great. It's great to see it.
Now, this is not all though, right? Because not only is she getting these increases to these numbers, she's getting some new skills. So we've got Killing Ground, which is a dark element imperil field, 40% for 10 turns. Valley of Fear, which is a ice, lightning, earth, and dark resistance imperil field for 25%. So if you need to blend, you know, you got options. And then also Septicemia, which is all element imperil, and then all weapon imperil for 3 turns. So this is where I think maybe this could have maybe taken a little longer to kind of parse out, but even these are not necessarily brand new effects, right? Because like that weapon imperil is like built into Abigail's kit, for example. You know, Kaito had, you know, element resistances and things like that. Like so this is not all brand new, but giving it to her is brand new.
Yeah, and the big thing I want to point out is the Killing Ground is an amazing chain. You might be saying she already had that on the LB, but on any fight that lasted more than 10 turns, she had no way to fill her LB at all. And if you're at higher EX level, for example, EX3, where her SLB keeps replacing, like, unless you're like entrusting her or just spamming something like Barb Firega to fill the LB gauge or something, it was near impossible to get her field refreshed under normal gameplay situations. So putting it on an ability to just on demand, just click, is flawless. It's so good. It's just such a small change that makes a massive quality of life upgrade. And I'm so glad they did that.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm in the same camp. I have an EX2 Elis sparis, and I have not had a chance to take her to anything yet, and I'm kind of looking forward to getting her out of the box. So very cool. I'm glad to see these finally showing up. Speaking of upgrades, Elena's leader skill is being boosted from 750 to 850 in Clash of Wills content.
That's really good. This is really good, and this is like all of a sudden my new favorite leader skill, even over the 900s, mostly because it includes defense and spirit. And, well, I guess it's never needed to be that high before, because it's never been that high before, but just being higher just gives you that safety margin. It gives you just, you know, easier to gearing. And also, of course, it's Elena's leader skill. It's flexible. It covers the whole range of Clash of Wills units. Because, like, a lot of Clash of Wills, you know, I've wanted to stick Richt on the party, but, like, he doesn't fall under, you know, Hayo's leader skill. He doesn't fall under Roka's leader skill. So he's just been sitting on the sidelines, even though he would be, like, the 3rd best damage dealer that month or something. With Elena, that's no longer an issue. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Do you think it's a big deal that it's not as high as others though? Like, so like, you know, like the 1000 for Ramza, or
Nah.
No.
Okay, so now, I do know a lot of fanboys are like really hyping Ram's leader skill. I think Ram's leader skill is the biggest trap and misdirection ever. I think almost no one is going to realistically use that in Clash of Wills because it is so absurdly narrow. Literally only Earth and Rebellion, which is like 2 units that matter. I guess 3 if Barrel's included in the future. But one of those is freaking Wondrous Lightning, who if anyone have used her, she is the most awkward, not fun to use unit in Clash of Wills. So like I think Ramza is just never going to be a leader in Clash of Wills unless someone's going to do it like to prove me wrong or something. But like realistically, Ramza is just not the leader. So we're looking at the other 900s like, you know, Roka, Hayo, etc. And you're losing only 50 for that flexibility. Now, if you're not taking an off element unit anyway, then sure, make Hayo the leader if it covers the whole party anyhow. But like, there's so many. Like, I mean, I really can't stress enough how many times I've wanted to like add in 2B or add in Richt or add in like Nora for the mod buff, but they fall outside the leader skill, can't do it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I agree. It gets awkward.
And the best part is it's free.
Yeah, free, and you know, if you happen to have already had her, because you know Elena was. They said in last week's stream that like Elena's banner was the one that people dumped the most lapis into this whole year. So hopefully you got her, and you're getting a little boost. So cool. Clash of Wills boss, the Yeti of unknown origin. I gotta be honest, I was not expecting Yeti. I was expecting a Krampus. And I said that last night on stream, and it's not a Krampus, it's a Yeti, but it looks a lot like a Krampus.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So, just, you know, slight conspiracy theory here. Yeti is, you know, looking pretty swole. He's kind of buff. You see the muscles. Last year, Ginger Buff Man was the same way. So is this guy going to just like beat down your party like Ginger Buff Man did? I kind of hope he is.
He does have pecs like Ginger Buff Man did.
I was hoping to see a cactar that's like a candy cane.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Oh man.
With like mistletoe, like or holly leaves coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, red and white. Like a candy cane.
I've always ever since they started doing Clash of Wills, I've wanted them to bring back the turkey sprite, the cooked turkey, and like have the cooked turkey of unknown origin, but it's never come around. Oh gosh. Anyways, nothing new here. We know all this from the monthly bulletin. And here's some more information. Uses ice and earth magic as well as non-elemental magic. So sounds like you want a magic tank. Also uses attacks that inflict paralysis and stone. And make sure you do lightning, fire, or earth damage every turn. And to deal LB damage on certain turns to avoid a counterattack. It's been a while since we've had that mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for that one, I'm a little confused about what they mean specifically. So does that mean you can only use LB on specific turns, or does it mean you can use it whenever you want, but you have to make sure to use it on specific turns?
I assume
that's how it sounds to me.
I assume it's that as long as you use an LB somewhere that damages the boss during that turn, you're okay.
Well, it doesn't. No, yeah, deal LB damage. Yeah, I would think it's probably like your typical lockout effect. But I'm sure it doesn't seem like they're going to penalize us for using LBs on other turns.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, if you recall, some bosses in the past have, like Mortrim the Castle. If you did it on the wrong turn, he made you penalized for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking back to the Trickster. There was the oh gosh, what was that? It was like the fairy dragon. Like you had to use, if you used 2 or 3 LBs, like it shifted from defensive stats to offensive stats, and like you kind of like stack them the way you wanted to, like line everything up on your burst turn. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, more information is good. How do you feel about the sprite, by the way? Other than it looking really swole.
It's fine. It's well drawn. It's high quality. It's also just a little bit generic. It's just literally an abominable snowman we've seen in 45 other medias. So it's not like unique, or like I've never seen this before. And a lot of Clash of Wills bosses are that way. Like, the Salicha moth and all that,
Yeah.
really unique looking. Or the hare that was hugging the urn. That actually people told me that's like a ripoff from Yu-Gi-Oh! So maybe not. For me, it was unique. I hadn't seen it before, but apparently that was a non-original design.
Mm,
But this one, it's very, very generic, even though it's high quality.
yeah. I like the blue eyes and claws. The kind of teal color.
Yep.
But what color will the level 99 aura be?
Purple flames, obviously.
Of course, it must.
It must. The third piece of information they told us, here's some suggestions for units that you could take, right? Ghost of Winterpass Barrel, Unsung Hero Rams that have elemental attacks that are effective. And then Barrel's LB, Everyone's Grump, reduces damage dealt by humans and beasts, which could provide useful. So, yeah.
Oh, that's actually new information. So now we know what Barrel's base form LB does.
Yep.
It's racial mitigation. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So not only does Elena, you're potentially taking Elena for a leader skill. Maybe she's got human mitigation in her kit. So does Barrel. Pretty cool. They also did tell us about this shop, and I think this is really great, but I want to hear what you guys think.
Yes.
Buy it all.
These are incredible.
And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Apparently, people are pinging me in Discord saying that Justin said on the stream that these cost Xeno Stone. So there's your confirmation.
Oh. Well, that's rough because that's a very limited resource.
Yeah.
Yes and no. It really depends on how many side recipes you've bought. If you've bought just the meta recipe each month, like the rulers or the magisters, I've actually gotten 3 in some cases. I've got the rulers, the magisters, and the avatars in some cases.
Yeah.
And I've still got like 25,000 remaining. So, but of course, I almost always rank 1. So that's the income from there. So if you're less than rank 1, you might not have quite as much. I think the people that are going to be most caught off guard by this are the ones that like, I'm going to buy all the killer recipes for all the rings just in case maybe one day. You know what I mean?
See, I bought a killer. I think I bought the killer recipe for the helm way back when, the Huntsman's. But other than that, I don't think I've strayed too far.
Yeah.
But I still think I only have about 11,000. So I mean, depending on how expensive these are, I don't know.
I don't even think I have 1,000 left.
Okay, that's not very much. These 3 abilities though on the screen, we've seen Reclaim Serenity before, which is super good. I use it all the time. But these 2 new ones here, Cyclopedia Mythica, Eradication and Preservation, 75% killer to 4 different races, and mitigation to 4 different races with big HP defense and spirit on the preservation. I mean, this is basically just like Mystic or the Mystic Tenacity, but just different races. These are great. I'm a big fan of all 3 of these, and there's potentially more coming. I'm wondering if they're gonna have other new ones that are just like we've never seen before in the shop.
What I really hope they have is Equip Hat Mastery.
Ooh.
Kind of like the helm stuff. There is an Equip Hat in the game, but if there's no stats on it, I'd love like the Equip Hat with 50% all stats. That'd be really nice for me.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some new shields.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We're still using Honor of Grandshelt for most things.
It's true. They did say that last week.
7-star STMR.
Yeah. So cool. We'll have to look and see what that and more means. They give us some information about the upcoming couple of weeks. We've got a daily summon with 8+3 because you really need all those rainbows. That's kind of cool. Free pulls are free pulls. Also giving us a login bonus that has up to 2,000 lapis. I assume that's just because like you could maybe not log in one of the days. But also, 10 of the purple tickets, VIP coins, energy restores. We got stuff coming. Log in every day.
Better than nothing, I guess.
Yes, better than nothing for sure. And then they talked about this. So I'm curious to hear how you guys interpreted what they said about this. But they're giving us more information about this new Clash of Wills stuff that they kind of hinted at last month. After the morale gauge reaches a certain point, certain units will be able to use certain abilities within battles that may cause other changes in battle, so keep your eyes peeled. What did you guys think about this update?
So if I can
Very,
just go ahead, Barry.
I would say it's very vague, and I have some concerns about this, and maybe it's just me being cynical. But this to me is another way of forcing pulling new units sooner than we have Neovisions Plus, but also just in general continuing to force the pulling of new units, because if they make these new gauge related abilities something that you have to have in order to survive thresholds or do enough damage, or say it's a 500% buff for some ungodly reason, that's a big deal, and that's absolutely game breaking mechanically. And so if you don't have it, how is that going to affect your ability to complete these challenge or these Clash of Will events later on? So maybe they won't use it that way. It's just, it gives me a lot of cause for concern about how they're going to proceed forward.
You see, you have a completely different concern than me. I am very concerned about, for completely different reasons. For anyone that watches like both our contents, you might have already seen my video, but while watching this one, and I went on like a big soapbox rant in my video. I'm gonna do it again here.
Do it.
So the thing they said is the special abilities, of course, are going to be on new global exclusives, as Barry said. And yes, I sympathize and agree that, that's pricey. You got to pull the new units, etc. For me, whale things, like whatever, I'm probably going to pull the new unit anyway. I don't mind that. The thing that turns my buttons on is what he also said. The only units that can fill that gauge are JP units. I despise that system so much. Like, you're going to force me to take these units that are not designed for Clash of Wills. They're not going to update these units for the most part, and probably almost never anymore, to give them new skills. So these units are contributing basically nothing other than, for the most part, either underwhelming or not good damage per turn damage. They might have that one big boy burst, but then most JP units are just like dead in the water after their one turn. They have no utility, and I'm going to have to take people like Fairy Yish or stupid Orlando or whatever, who are just bad units in the Clash of Wills environment, but I'm gonna have to take them to enable the new units I'm pulling for, because I can't even use Barrel's new cooldown. Barrel's not gonna have one, but the January Barrel, whoever it's gonna be, I can't even use their new units cooldowns without taking dead weight JP units to the Clash of Wills. That's such a horrible design decision, and just all I can pray is, as they stressed, it's still in development, it's still being worked out. All I can say is, please change directions and don't force me to take bad units to Clash of Wills. I do not want to have to do that.
Did they say that they were forcing the JP units? Because all they said was older units.
I remember I heard them say older. I didn't hear them say the ones from the like specifically non-global exclusives.
Yeah.
But
that makes me under the impression that they're just going to give older units that have already come out some secondary effect to their abilities that could fill it.
Okay, so I don't remember the exact wording, but by my memory, and I could be wrong here, but by all means, correct me in the comments. My memory was, he was saying, we've heard that you want more reasons to take JP units to the content, so therefore they're going to be the ones that fill this gauge. Now, that's not the exact wording, but the way I heard it, he was saying, he went directly from, we've heard you want more reason to take JP units, and then he went directly into talking about filling the gauge. And I kind of made the connection that was how they're going to promote JP units in Clash of Wills. I could have misunderstood. I could be misquoting. I'd have to play it back and really listen, but that was the impression I walked away with.
Well, I can't say that's true for me. I don't want more reasons to take JP units to global content. I want to take the global units. I want to only pull for one, not two. Okay.
Well, I'm sure they'll figure that out when nobody wants to pull for them.
Omega, do you usually, I mean, I know you said earlier, like you've kind of become more casual lately. Have you historically kind of gone for rank 1? Like, does this kind of thing concern you?
I do try to go for rank 1 sometimes if I have the units at the EX levels.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, then I really don't try to pull it off. Plus, I share the same concerns as Sinzar and Barry have,
Mm-hmm.
and what other changes it it's because it says this may cause other changes in battle. So keep your eyes, whatever that entails.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to see, But yeah, pretty much the same concerns you guys have.
Okay. Well, I'll be curious to go and listen to your maybe you had some different points in your rant, Sinzar, but I'm gonna go listen to that in a little bit. New updates. Let's keep an eye out for it. Then they branched into some other kind of fluffy stuff. So they mentioned that like on their social media, there's going to be like a story or like some art for like the Fundamental Forces characters doing wintry things like snowball fights. Kind of cute, kind of fun. I think Richt is cute.
If this is just,
I mean,
cute, fun, non-substance, that's cool and all. A lot of people are really into the art. They love that kind of stuff. I kind of hope that it has some actual lore. Like, what happened next after the story event ended for Louise. We never saw her friend that got away. We never saw what happened to Ethne after the story ended. We never saw that like wizard-looking dude at the end of Wilk's story event. What happened next? This would be the perfect time for them to do it without having to go through the whole headache of adding it into the game, which is obviously a lot of work. This is just someone drawing a comic strip. I assume one, maybe two people involved. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it seemed like a good way for them to expand on the lore of the global exclusives. That'd be the perfect time for them to do it.
Would be pretty cool.
look, if they ever expand upon global lore, I don't care what form it's in. I'm excited to see it because it's been such a tease for such a long time. Just lore in general. If it's outside of the story, quote unquote, of the game, like there's so much potential and so much disappointment that has come with all of it. And so if they decide that they want to do, comic book-esque things, and that's their workaround for shutting people like me up, then please, by all means, do it. I'm sure me and Yin to Yang will do a lovely read-along on a stream at some point.
I was going to say, this seems right up Yin to Yang's alley, so...
Absolutely. They may as well just contract him at this point and let him have a say in it.
Yeah. Good stuff. So they showed this, and then they played some games. Now, these games were intended to, challenge the community, get us engaged, get us talking about like the questions, and you had to make sure we got 4 questions right, and then that would get us all the rewards. And they had stuff like this: who is this unit? At first, I was like, I have no idea, because they didn't fully explain the game at first, but then the little Moogle was going to remove the rocks. And so then we got to see like who it was. Honestly, my favorite game challenge of all of them was this one, just because I had to actually think back to remembering like what order did these LBs actually kind of release in, which was kind of fun. It was just kind of neat. Then this one got a lot of people talking. Like we were kind of speculating and talking amongst the 3 of us who were kind of chatting, getting ready for this call. What were you guys' initial opinions about this question? Like, did you have an answer? Like, did you have any clue?
Yeah, I said 10 pretty much right off rip, just because everybody loves 7, and I assume if you don't love 7, that 6 is probably your next closest. It would have been a difficult choice to guess if the choices had been 10 and then either 12 or 8. I think it might have been a little more complicated, or even 4, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like I never hear people say anything bad about 4. 10 for me is my favorite, with 8 as a close second, but it's just... I know people don't share my opinion very often, so for it to even be on 3rd, I was pretty pleased.
Yeah.
That would have been, I guess, 2 was 10. I like that game a lot as well. 8, 7, 10, 12. And I guess I'll throw 6 in there. It's
There
hard
you
to
go. Throw it in there.
decide of all my top games.
For my thoughts, where's 9?
Mm.
You know, 9 feels really divisive. I feel like if you played it all the way through, you love it, and it's probably top 2 or 3. But I know just when I was growing up, a lot of people couldn't get through it. I don't know what it was. I think they just got either overwhelmed or bored, but they just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were pretty young when it came out, all things considered, but even
Well,
still.
the
I
way
had
the way I think it is people that were there for the Super Nintendo era, 4, 5, and 6, they probably love 9 because it's like a return to the classics. But
Mhm.
for the people that came into Final Fantasy on 7 and then 8, which both of them were like this futuristic techno punk setting,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're back in the medieval times with the knights and all. It's like, well, this is not the Final Fantasy I know. Where's like the flying cities and all that kind of stuff?
Mm.
With talking hippo people, mind you.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, Omega.
I played 9 when it first came out.
Mhm.
And I was first exposed to the older Final Fantasy games, which, I like medieval setting, futuristic setting. Combination of the two, it's all fine to me. I just thought, I don't know, other than Ozma, it was kind of a simple game. I played it through no problem, and it seemed like the card game was just a direct ripoff of 8's, and they
But
should
worse.
have, yeah, a little watered down in comparison, at least in my opinion. And they probably should have went with a different type of, thorough mini game or side quest, whatever you want to call it, instead of, a card game. Made something more unique to that. Like those, chocobo treasure hunts, that was something different. Um, but and story-wise, it was okay. Just not one of my top favorites. I don't hate it per se, but
Yeah. I guess really kind of boils down to like, was third favorite going to be 10 or 3? And I had a feeling that not that many people like 3 that I've ever talked to. Like I enjoy 3 because I love games that have a job class system. But like, not for everybody.
did you play the remake of 3? That was actually done pretty well, I thought.
I have not played the remake of 3. I've only ever played it on the Famicom.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, if you want jobs, then I would say go play Bravely Default, because they handle jobs very well.
Yeah, I've heard that. Then this
Bravely
question.
Default collab when?
This question gave me paranoia. Like, this reminded me of those math questions where it was like, if Janice buys 3 apples and Henry took a train from Chicago, how many grains of salt fell out of the bag when Julie dropped it? Like, I was like, what? but then they put the clues up on the screen and it became a little more obvious that this was Cleome. So yeah, just kind of fun stuff. They just did all that, and then we got some rewards. So we're getting Dream Big, 10 million gil and a Transcension Pearl, 10+1 ticket, and a bonus present ticket, which are, those bonus present tickets are really, really good. And 2,000 lapis. They also said that all this is going to get delivered on 12/21, so just in a couple of days, just in time for people to potentially pull for the new unit. So, yay, free stuff.
Looks good.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like it's one of the first years in a long time that Hiroki hasn't decided to double it. I feel like he doubles
good
it every
point.
year.
Good
He
point.
did not double it this year. But why would he? We just all got 20. So, it's hard to look at 2 with excitement when 20 was just not that long ago.
And believe it or not, that was our live stream. So like that, they went about an hour and 5 minutes or so. And that was pretty much it. So, I mean, all in all, I mean, good information. They did share some numbers with us. They did share information that people wanted. they shared some stuff that I think people don't necessarily want to. But you know, all in all, it was a live stream. What did you guys think in general? Like broad spectrum there.
I will say that when they announced that Hiroki was going to be coming, I expected something more. Like he literally just came to do some goofy trivia games, and that was it. He wasn't even part of like the actual news stream. You know, I figured like, you know, a collaboration, a big game mode coming, a big gift or something. Like he literally just came to give some trivia questions and go home. And while I would like to see Hiroki on every stream, you know, he's kind of shown that he only comes these days for the big news, and there was none. So, I mean, overall the stream was fine. It's just, you know, kind of they misled me a little bit what to expect
with Hiroki coming on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll say this one felt a little flat to me. I don't know what it was. It didn't. Energy was low. Didn't feel like there was a lot of excitement. I don't know if there was something going on, but I feel like recently, there even as recent as last week with the fan stream, the energy had felt pretty high. Like there was optimism, there was some excitement. Today it just didn't feel. It didn't feel that. Maybe they're still reeling from last week. Maybe they had a long week. I don't know. But it made it hard to feel anything, honestly, about this one.
I felt really rushed. And I think that was probably because, you know, Hiroki was coming on for the second half and they needed to make sure they got all the information out there. There was a lot of information to go over as far as, you know, Elis sparis' buffs and Elena's buffs and the new unit and the Clash of Wills. Like there was a lot to get through, but I also just felt like it was really rushed and pushed through as quickly as they could. While that's not necessarily bad, like, you know, we don't want to necessarily dwell on like the goofy games and the like stuff that takes us, you know, 45 minutes to get to the information that we really care about. Like at the same time, it just felt like really like I said, just kind of rushed through. Thorough, but just felt like it was going really, really fast. So that's just kind of my take on it. I appreciate all the information though, especially the numbers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I will say the quality of information that they've given us in these streams has improved quite a bit. Like they're at least starting to give us some numbers. They're starting to not make us have to theory craft and wonder. So I'm really quite appreciative of that they've listened and started to give us more kit details so we don't have to wait and wonder.
Yeah.
Even still, it just felt weird. It didn't feel right.
I'm excited to see Sinzar's usual Wednesday night review of the Clash of Wills unit.
For sure. You know, what they showed here is a little disappointing, but you know, it's very possible that we can see the whole kit and we're like, oh, now I see what they're going for, and all of a sudden he's great. I hope so, because I really do like Beryl, and I always did like him. I use him quite a bit in the 7-star form, even when people were saying like he's not good. I forced used him, where he may not have been the best pick, but I used him anyway because he was cool. So I really am hoping for him to be good, but you know, he's got the Christmas curse going on. He's got what they've previewed, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, Christmas curse is a real thing, you know. I'm a little, that does make me a little nervous, but I'm a sucker for those Christmas units. They're just so cute and so festive looking, and I usually end up going all the way to pity without pulling a single copy of them. Oh my gosh, I'm equally Christmas cursed. You know, I ended up using Beryl the first time I participated in the unofficial anniversary live stream. I was in one of the 7-star challenges and I had to use Beryl. And I really enjoyed using Beryl as a tank for the challenge that I did. So you know, I was really looking forward to Beryl being a tank again. But here we are. I guess you can't have two big tanks on the party with Elena and Beryl, you know. But and Abigail too, gosh. Can't have all three of them. But yeah, we'll see. Will Beryl save Earth? I guess that's what we have to find out. Is Beryl going to save the Earth element?
No.
Okay.
No.
Barry says no.
No. Well, there's.
I thought Ramsey was supposed to.
Well,
Yeah,
and
you'd think so.
and I guess Elis sparis though, she's getting didn't she? She's getting Earth as one of her elements that she imperils as well. The field.
Yeah, but if you think about,
Yeah,
like,
Earth
let's point our biggest
25%.
point of comparison. The biggest point of comparison, probably our top of meta right now, is fire.
Mm.
Right? The fact that Genesis exists means fire will always be a thing, and then you throw Hyo's leader skill on top of it. Now you use Genesis in Clash of Wills. So let's look at what we have for fire. You have an almost guaranteed dedicated fire tank in Abigail, or you can bring Elena if you want. You have Hyo for his leader skill and incredible damage. You have Aya Brea, whose kit is so versatile that there is probably not going to be another kit on a damage dealer like that in potentially ever. Um, there's plenty of good field support or break options in the form of Vanille or Avon. Saz exists, even though a lot of people aren't going to use him. I mean, the disparity between just that brief moment. Oh, and then you throw Genesis on top of it, of course. But just that little bit, and then what does Earth have? Well, unless they are hiding from us that Beryl has an MP nuke, then we're not talking about that. If Beryl's chain damage isn't comparable to Ramza, or excuse me, to Hyo's without 1,000% leader skill, then we're probably not talking about that. And then what? So we go Beryl, and then we take a small step down potentially to Ramza, and then what? A massive step down to Snufflinka?
You see,
Like,
what's the thing? We keep mentioning Ramza. Like, oh my
hey,
god,
I'm literally just throwing him there for the fact that
Best
he's
case
newer and
scenario
has
for
a
that
leader
1,000
skill.
leader
That's
skill.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah.
That's all he is. He's 2 weeks old and he has a leader skill. That's
Well,
it.
for me, I'm actually seriously considering going Earth on this upcoming Clash of Wills because my party right now is already built, is Fire. It's all in for Fire, but we kind of sort of know Fire is going to be like the secondary weakness. In other words, not really a weakness at all, just usable. But if Earth is going to be a lot lower resistance, I'm actually thinking my Earth party for this Clash of Wills will be Elena leading the party, Elis sparis with her buffs and her new Earth and Peril field, and then Beryl on the party, not leading. Elena's leading, but Beryl is going to be on the party with his. They already said he does have in Stone Ghost. So that's AOE, Imbue, and 35 amp, and he's got the 50 amp field. So that's a permanent 85% amplify for the party for the entire duration of Clash of Wills. No matter if the boss takes 5 turns or 50, you'll always have an 85 permanent amp, and that's pretty good, honestly speaking. So I'm really leaning towards swapping out my Fire party for an Earth party with Beryl just being there. But Ramza is, even if I had Ramza, I honestly speaking, he wouldn't come just because his kit brings nothing to Clash of Wills. And don't forget, his Clash of Wills LB is the base LB, which does not change. It's a goofy frames, which is the biggest travesty of all. He can't fill the LB either. So like, Ramza just is a trap, as I've said.
Now,
Are you going to bring Agrius then?
The Clash of Wills? Oh god, no. The breaker is going to be Elis sparis.
Elis sparis, yeah.
Elis sparis has that 25 Earth and Peril field and the Omni Earth and Peril as well. Now that her whole kit got upgraded.
Now, what about, dare we say it, Tsukiko?
She's good. Her damage is garbage even today.
Yeah.
But she does feel a ton of morale. So I do have Melissa on the party currently. And Melissa was honestly there almost exclusively for the Beast Killer. And we do know that Beryl does have Beast Killer. So Tsukiko could be a swap out. And if I did do that, I would put Veritas of the Frost back on for the breaker. He would just get imbued. He wasn't at the field around, but his personal damage is still dramatically higher than Elis sparis's. So that would be the swap for my current team. I would drop Melissa, add Tsukiko. That'll be the morale battery. The only thing is her field is only 10 turns, and this is the season finale. So if the typical team is going to like turn 18 or something, that 10-turn field might not be quite enough.
True story.
You could always just run double battery and throw Sylvie on there too.
I was gonna say Sylvie's got the 100% amp twice, and then morale
and
fill
a demon killer.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I considered her, and as good as Sylvie is, I've mentioned this a few times in the past. It's just like I don't know. Like a lot of times, I feel like she's just kind of like just standing around refreshing buffs that don't need refreshing, and it's not doing a whole lot in Clash of Wills.
Now, you hold your tongue when you talk about the greatest unit they've ever come out.
Them's fighting words. And the most used unit in Clash of Wills.
I mean, she's very good. Don't get me wrong. She is very, very good.
Yeah. Well, cool.
What other units can you name in the Neovision era that have lasted a year and a half?
That's a good point. I guess Esther, not anymore, but Esther lasted like a really long time. She's
not a year and a half. I don't think I've ever seen a unit in this game last a year and a half. 7-star Sylvie did. But now Neovision Sylvie is...
Mastermind's on.
Yeah, Mastermind's on.
Still around sometimes.
It's true, he's just locked out of this content.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Now we have reached an hour and 5 minutes. So now we've talked as long as they did. Now we can stop. Is there any closing thoughts or last minute stuff, or are we just done for the night?
Pretty much said everything I meant to say. Thanks again for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fun as always.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on.
Thanks for being brave enough to come out, Omega. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Always happy to if I have the time.
Good deal. Good deal. And thank you to everybody else who's been hanging out for an hour and 6 minutes. We'll see you in the next one, and looking forward to some news on Tuesday and some... Hold on. I will say this. This bugs me that we're not getting any actual content other than Clash of Wills for holiday. Like, that makes me sad. So no new content on Thursday other than Clash of Wills. Okay. Yeah, we'll see you later. And you guys all take good care of each other, and we'll see you in the next one.